Let's see how this works. Press and hold for more. Find tweets to share in your space. Wonderful. Hello, Scoozy. Hopefully you can hear me. Let's see. Kind of bummed that this is only on mobile because it's not exactly the best platform for navigating. Let's see. So go ahead and send me invite people to your space, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I guess you can go ahead and send me tweets and I will do what I can to answer questions. This is kind of, oh, you can raise your hand. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this and raise your hand, but I wonder if you can hang out on. I'm so insulted. So you can hang out and listen on PC, but you can't do that. You can't like make a space on desktop. So that's very salty. Hey guys, the four of you that are here. Hopefully you can't hear my parrot behind me. You probably can though. But I just figured I would try this, do a bit of a hangout and chat with you guys while I'm just about to cook. So cook some dinner. How are you guys doing? Let me see if there's a way for you guys to talk with me. This is weird. I'm sad. Let's see. 6 people listening. But there's no way for you guys to like chat with me on here. You can definitely tweet at me. Needs to allow me to like more easily make you a speaker. Did that work? Invite to speak. There you go. Hello. Anyways, so I just kind of wanted to chat about Roco things. So right now, the team is putting a lot of work into trying to get the Xbox and PlayStation fix in for the voice chat. I know that has been a really bad pain point this week for players. I've seen a lot of it on social. A lot of people have been asking me about it specifically. So I know that it's an incredible pain point. Not being able to use that crossplay, the cross chat, that is. So just to give you guys a little bit of insight into that issue, whenever we were shipping this last release, we noticed that so the company that supports our voice comms, I think, is called Vivox, if I remember right. I might be messing that up. I've had some very long days this week, but I believe it's Vivox, and we noticed that players on Epic were unable to use voice chat, and that happened. We found that the day of release, actually. So the way in which games typically push, I want to say like builds, but the way in which games push builds live is that basically we have a build that we have had on a developer environment, and then the developer environment build gets, of course, like merged and tested several times. And by merged, we mean anything from like art or engineering basically gets pushed into that one build, and then QA is constantly testing it, and we're play testing on it to make sure that things are stable. Sometimes the builds are unstable on those developer environments just because of content that just gets pushed onto those builds. And then once we have everything in place that we want for a build, it's something called lock. And at that point, there's like no more check-ins, is what it's considered in development. And that means that nobody on the team can essentially check in any sort of changes. So that means any sort of balance changes, any sort of new assets, anything like that, any new skins, nothing like that. It's locked. And the reason for that is because we take then, hopefully you cannot hear my parrot, I'm so sorry. But then we take essentially those builds and we start testing them. So QA then has to do things like they have to test like every single new skin. They have to test every single new cosmetic and testing every single new skin and every single map, etc. So the more variables you have, the more you need to test. And within that time, you're also testing on all of the platforms that you release on. So you're testing on like Steam and Epic, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series 1, Xbox Series X, and Switch. And it's a lot. So once you've kind of determined like, yes, the build is stable, we have pretty good confidence in it, that becomes what becomes the PTS build. So that becomes the build that you guys get to play on whenever it's on the public test server. So once public test server is kind of been played and we have some data around the PTS and like any bugs that people have run into, we generally will move into release. So we will try to get any sort of like any last minute changes, but they have to be light. And the reason for that is any major changes at this point in the development cycle can create a lot of instability. And if you're taking a build from PTS to ship, you don't exactly have the time to go back to creating a developer build and then figuring out from there, going through that process once again, because we work on a cycle of trying to get you guys an update, maybe like say every month, right? So let's say every month. That means that this process of creating assets, getting them into the build and testing everything and testing across multiple platforms, and then also making sure localization, so all other regions can translate it and any other platform like Sony can test it on their side. That all has to be done in a span of 3 to 4 weeks. It's actually usually much shorter. So it really like depends on which team as well, but it's a pretty compressed process and it's a pretty quick process. So if you find something severe between that PTS build and the what we call a live build, it usually has to wait then until the next major release. So on then release day, what happens is we push a new build into the live environment, and then we test that build before it goes live, see if there's any issues. And sometimes that's why downtime takes longer, is maybe we found something that was not on the PTS build or was not in the development environment. And this is kind of one of those weird things about game development, is that there are times where there are bugs in the live environment that for whatever reason do not exist in a development environment or in a PTS environment. It's very weird. Like software development is kind of wild because there are just times where you're like, why does this bug exist here but not there? Because everything we can tell says that this is the exact same. So what is like the unusual thing that is causing it to be different on like a live environment versus a development environment? So that's kind of like, that can be some of the backbone issue. That can be some of the backbone issue behind things like, say, the Xbox and the PlayStation issue right now, is we knew that Epic was not working. The Vivox Epic was not working the day that we were pushing to live. We found that whenever we were in that test cycle of pushing that build up to live and then testing it, we found it then. And we were like, okay, so it's not on Epic. That should be okay for now. We're going to fix it. But a lot of players on PC still use Discord. So we're going to work on fixing it. Hopefully it doesn't impact players too badly in the time it takes for us to fix it. And then whenever that build went live, that's whenever me on the community side and the social team started seeing your comments about the Xbox and PlayStation. So we've been trying to essentially figure out where exactly that issue is occurring. Is it occurring in an Xbox build? Is it occurring in a PlayStation build? Is it occurring somewhere in a config? Like, it basically becomes, you have essentially like a very, very wide haystack at the start of trying to solve a problem like that, and you basically have to continuously shrink the haystack. So this is, I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, so like just bear with me here. But you basically start with like, there's so many options, right? Like, it could be, is it with Vivox? Is it with a build on Xbox specifically? Is it with an error with PlayStation specifically? Is it on PC? Does this now exist on Switch? Do we know? And that's a pretty big haystack. So as time goes on, QA basically has to test all these different cases to see if they can shrink that haystack down, so that the engineers can look at it and go, we know for sure, like definitively, this is the haystack this problem is in, and we now have an idea of how we can tackle this problem. So basically, TLDR, it's a complicated issue, but we're totally aware of it, and we've been working on a fix. It's our highest priority right now. So whenever I look at bugs internally and how we track them, it is considered the highest priority, and is considered severe, in as critically severe in how we're cataloging it. So it's not something that we've forgotten about or we're trying to ignore or anything like that. I know that there's been a lot of pain and frustration around it. I've seen a lot of comments, and a lot of not so nice comments around this week, and I know it's super frustrating, especially because players on console, like, this is the way that you guys talk with each other. Like, there are pings, but that's not the same as being able to coordinate via voice. So I know it's impacting every player on any of our consoles the hardest, and that really, really sucks. So I have a parrot that's digging in a box, and I really wish I could share it with you guys. Like, it's just like a nugget of joy in my day. So just to describe the scene, no one's going to be interested in this, but I have a parrot sitting off to my right and a parrot sitting off to my left. And I take Amazon boxes, they're empty, and I put them on the top of the cage for the one on the right, Evie, and she is currently underneath a blanket in the box, chewing on a box and digging in the box. So if you're hearing things, that's what you're hearing. You're hearing her little bird feet digging in a Sephora box, trying to find the bottom, I guess. I don't know. It's bird things. Anyways, I've also seen comments. I wanted to kind of talk to you guys, like how everyone left. They were like, I don't care about bird things. So one of the other things I wanted to talk to you guys about and just kind of update you on, I've gotten a couple, I would say a reasonable number of tweets, DMs, and like private messages on Discord, especially from our creators, about exploitable areas of a map. So just to kind of give you guys an update on that, I've gotten reports about Vice, Wanted, Canals, Factory. I think those are the four. So I've gotten messages about those. The one on Wanted, we actually already have fixed for the next build. So that was actually fixed today for our next major release. Icarus is another one, I believe. Forgot about Icarus. So 5. But the Wanted area is fixed for the next update. So that will be in the next major update. But yeah, there you go. Speaker requests, get a quicker. So this is I love how it forces you guys to react with emojis, but I can't react. I can't like see a chat, and that's really upsetting to me. So I'm sorry. But yeah, so exploits and exploitable areas of the map, we're already working on it. The Wanted one is already fixed. So it's in the task list. I also really wanted to kind of touch on. So I've been asking for feedback on various things. So the Discord crew probably knows this. I'm sure some of you are overlapping here.